Okay, now with Google Earth open, all we can really grab is the width of the apron and the track in this track. If there were other tracks where we had like a pit lane along here, we could grab all of that stuff too. But this basic track here, all we're going to do is we're just going to zoom in and we're going to grab the width of the apron and the track surface itself. You just zoom in, use your ruler tool. I'm using feet. You don't have to use feet. If you're more comfortable with meters, by all means. As long as you remember what that is when you go to create the track. The track surface itself is about 45 feet wide and roughly 30 feet in the apron, which is about what I figured it would be. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a line. When you make lines as loft shapes, you want to go right to left, so you don't have to flip the normals and everything's consistent. So we're going to add 45 and 0, and there's your basic track loft shape. Now if you see where the center of this grabber ends up, that's your pivot point. That's where this shape is going to get placed on the loft path. Now if that moves around, obviously it's going to be in a different spot. So if I were to move that there, you would get your shape being placed way off. But for this demonstration, I'll just show you a loft with the shape on center, and it just shows up straight in the middle. The center of the path and the center of the shape are the same. We don't want that. We want the inside of the track shape to be on the edge of the line. So what we're going to do is effect pivot, and it snaps if you want it to. So we'll just go right to there, and we can hit get shape, and there it is on the inside. Almost exactly perfect. Now if we look in the perspective window, you see it's flat. We got to add the banking. The way that I like to do this is probably also different than how a lot of other people like to do this. I just like to use different shapes. And what I can do here is use the F12 and get a perfect number. So I know the track is 14 degrees banked in the corners and 10 degrees banked on the straights. The only issue with doing it this way is it takes an extra couple of seconds because you have to recreate the lines. If you were to go and loft either one of these two after rotating, it still isn't going to come out perfect. It's still going to come out flat, which is not a big deal. It takes an extra 2 seconds. Put your snap tool on. That's line 3. That's line 4, and you can delete lines 1 and 2. Go back and reset your pivot points to the inside. And then you can loft your track with banking. There's your loft. And now we have banking. A flat track doesn't need a lot of polys because it won't be affected. A track with any banking at all, especially with a lot of banking, will need more polys to be smooth. This track has a lot of polys on it because I already set it, but you'll see what these do. The shape steps affect how many are across the track. My personal preference is 3 or 4 depending on how wide of a track it is. But what that'll allow you to do in a lot of newer games, you can actually select, the inside 2 rows in the corners and set that as a different grip level. That comes in handy. You got to think ahead, but path steps, you can kind of see what this is doing. The less number of steps, the less you get between sections. And that's pretty simple. Another thing you can do, even though you have changed a lot and lofted, is you can still go back and play with your Beziers. Now you can see kind of what this does, why I wanted this moved. Too far in and you get these bunched up polys. Too far out, it bunches up on the other side and you won't get a smooth section. So you can see they're pretty smooth all the way around the track. Another thing is any other change that you do, as long as you haven't modified your loft, anything that you change on your original path will affect any loft that has occurred using that path. But since I don't want to mess with that, we'll just leave that alone for now. So we've got our basic track loft with banking. And now we can go ahead and do the transitions, as well as doing the apron and the walls and the fences.